Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles 2, where we primarily discuss entrepreneurship, manifestation, developing your unique talents and skills, and how to overall upgrade your life in terms of how to manifest easier, as well as how to be best at what you do. I'm very passionate about this topic because I wish somebody imparted this wisdom upon me when I was starting out. Hello, my name is Anna. I'm the creator of Magic and Miracles, the original channel, as well as this one, as well as Coaching for Coaches, parenthesis here. And I created Magic and Miracles because I didn't see it out there in this practical form, for me at the very least, as per my estimation. I really like to speak bluntly, to cut to the chase, to explain in very simplistic terms what the fuck I need to do to succeed. And this is how I created my signature coaching program. It's a program that I recommend staying with me in coaching for 2 to 3 months. All right, so we'll rendezvous 3 times per week. This is how I start. This is mandatory for me because I'm really interested in your history. And in order to map out your history, sometimes I spend a month. Now, doesn't mean that we don't do other things, right? I always go into coaching with each individual with the idea in mind that it's an individual, exactly what it sounds like. And I feel like that, not for nothing, is also missing from the coaching world out there because it's, for the majority, actually 99.99%, it's basically cookie cut, copy and paste crap that, trust me, I've done my research on my own journey and whilst being a coach on the internet in particular for the last 3 years, total of being a coach for 10 years, that it's mostly a cookie cut process. And so every time I coach somebody, I go in with the idea in mind that this is an individual. They have an individual needs they need to address. And so, of course, whilst covering your history, which is how I start out, I always give you tools to succeed, what you need to do immediately. Now, things that I give you in the beginning, might not work to such a degree when you're clear of your energetic attachment to your current timeline. What I mean by that is that the repetitive cycle that you may be experiencing right now is due to some idea or ideas plural, which gather up a specific kind of energy around your aura. And usually, it's what I call mama drama panorama, the beliefs associated with literally your mom or your dad or somebody you grew up with that instilled this idea within you that you may not be good enough in some department of your life. In the case of Magic and Miracles, I coach people in relationships, but I have extensive experience in coaching people with business and self-development as well. And so once we process these emotions, your energetic field clears for manifestations like crazy. And so I teach you energy work in my coaching as well as we map out down to the minutest detail what you need to do, how you need to do it in order to achieve your success, your quantum leap, step by step by step. I hold your hand throughout the entire process. And like I said, I usually start out with the signature coaching package 3 times per week. Sometimes I downgrade it on month 2, sometimes on month 3. Sometimes I don't downgrade it at all because depending on who is in coaching with me. So if you have any questions about that, the information is below. Please understand you need to sign the coaching agreement, which is attached to every package. But I like to start out with a 1-hour session first to make sure that it's a good match. And then you can book the signature coaching package. So the topic of today is geniuses don't have competition. And, you can title it Competition is a Myth. competition is for losers, whatever the fuck you want to title it. The idea that I want to bring forth is that there's a lot of miscommunication and misinformation as far as I can see. And I don't spend nearly as much time on social media as I know some people do. There's so much misinformation, in particular right now, when there is such a huge potential for everybody to take advantage of being themselves. So what I mean by geniuses don't have competition is that when you're true to your authenticity, there's no stopping you, essentially. That is the genius of it all. And I really don't see that being celebrated, because the way that I see things is that everybody's trying so hard to be like another person. This is the culture, the mindset that we live in. And some exercise it more than others, as we know. But it's this idea of you're better off doing things a certain way, down to this expectation now that we have, as a for instance, of how long a video should be and how does a thumbnail need to look like for somebody to click on it. And I'm not saying don't make engaging content, by all means, but I feel like there's almost like this rigid expectations of what it has to look like for it to be acceptable. And my argument that I will put forth, and I have data to back it up with, okay, data called my life, my creative, processes and endeavors, where how you will inevitably succeed. And I really do mean inevitably, provided you show up and do the work and study and perfect your skills, is if you really do things how you want to do them. Okay, how you want to do them, irregardless what everybody else is doing. In fact, shut all that shit off. Okay, I purposely don't watch any coach out there or anything. I don't want to know, because I channel my material, and I don't want it to even get stuck somewhere there in the subconscious, and I'm very careful that way, because I want to have the opportunity to produce my own thoughts, to produce my own teachings. And that's far more exciting. And parenthesis here, not for nothing, what comes to mind right now is that this is how I encourage everybody to manifest. Do what works for you. In other words, nobody's cookie cut. It's just like how I started out saying, nobody's like the other person. So why are, people out there, for instance, coaching people equally, where the needs are obviously different? And I'll give you an example. And I always do my research. As I've mentioned, I'm very curious. I have a degree in journalism, and I'm always really good with research. I may not be good with technology as much as I'd like to, but I'm really good with research. And a couple years ago, I stumbled into some kind of an ad for, coaches who want to advance their career, this and that. And I was I was doing pretty good already, but I thought of looking around at what else is out there, what other opportunities there may be. And this firm came, it's some kind of really famous, I'm not going to mention it now, but really famous, supposedly, company that trains coaches and assists coaches and this and that, and there are packages and all these things. And what they ultimately want you to do, ready, is they train you a certain way, and then they tell you, here, take some of this and go incorporate it into your situation, your coaching. So in other words, be like everybody else. Do like training people, coaches, who's supposed to work with different people to apply, like to be like somebody else. In other words, no individuality. This is catastrophic. And I was like, no, thank you. This is so the very opposite of what coaching should be. This is so the very opposite of how we should think. And I feel like if more people really downloaded this idea, there wouldn't be no jealousy, not for nothing, but I really have been blown away more than once by how much jealousy there really is in the metaphysical community amongst coaches. It's crazy. It's actually quite crazy that this is where it is most pronounced, the very least for me. There's certainly jealousy in fashion. I've experienced that, jealousy everywhere. But to this degree, it's kind of like ridiculous that people who are supposed to know the law of assumption and Neville Goddard and this and that are so envious of somebody who chooses to shed their way, like myself, as a for instance, because if you look around, everybody's doing the same shit. So whatever business you're in, whatever venture you're starting out, listen to me now and listen close. Do whatever the fuck you want, however the fuck you want to do it. This is the recipe for success. Now, of course, it has to be that, it's packaged well and you thought it through and it's kind of like manageable for you to, there's layers of these things and different things for different businesses. But the thing is that I would never take somebody else's formula and then try to apply it to me because I'm not that person. It only so long that it will even last, if last at all, because I don't know how to operate this machinery. It's not my own. It's not going to work the same. Stolen genius doesn't stick, as I always say. It's just kind of like you're better off investing a little more time and effort into understanding how you want to do things, what really excites you, what really speaks to you. As a for instance, for me, it brings me enormous joy to record audios. I'm not so much, into videos, although I'm making an effort on my other channel. This is how I thrive the most because I can pick up my phone whenever I'm inspired. I don't have to have my makeup on and all this kind of jazz. And I can go into my channeled state and start delivering the message. This is what brings me joy. And you know what? For the first year and a half, at the very least, of Magic and Miracles, the original channel, there was only one video. People saw my face, moving around on video one time in a year and a half. And somehow I was able to create a whole business without even planning to do so. Why? Because I wasn't like anybody else. Now, I wasn't trying to not be like anybody else. It's just my philosophy is that if I invest in myself, I will naturally produce thoughts, ideas, inclinations, inspirations, business ideas, etc., that will be like nobody else's. Why? Because I've invested in myself and I made it into something that I think that I can contribute to the world. Okay, it's a normal and natural inclination. At the very least, I think it should be for a person to having figured something out, for themselves in a specific way that they did, to then probably, be able to offer that same help to other people. Like, here, I figured it out. Here's how you do things. But that only comes from experience. You can't teach, right? So it has to be that it comes from some kind of, again, personal identity, your identity, not somebody else, and not borrowed identity, not borrowed ideas. It has to be like your blood and bones, like it's you, it's your experience. It comes from a real place of joy, of sharing, and you're not getting into it, huge parenthesis here, solely for the purpose of money. If you're getting into the business solely for the purpose of money, you're bound to fail. Zero is the money that you're going to make ultimately when all said and done. Why? Very simple reason. Because if you're putting money before love. That's the reason, in short. You should be putting love before money. It's obvious you're going to get paid for your service. It's obvious you're going to get paid for your ideas and blah, 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 inventions and la-di-da-di-da. But the thing is, do you love it? Are you one with it? Is this really the representation of your true genius, or are you still trying to fit in and be like everybody else? You're not meant to fit in. You're meant to be exactly who you are so that you can contribute to the world. And guess what? Parenthesis here still. Since we're talking about self-development, as I mentioned, as an individual, you will only be able to thrive to your fullest potential when you're exactly the shape that you were designed to be. In other words, if you're trying to be like somebody else, not only your business isn't going to last very long, or there are going to be difficulties, but on a whole, as a person, your experience here on planet Earth is going to be very difficult. It's just take it from me. When I was trying to model and this and that, and take the cue from what the society told me that I should be because I was tall and Russian and this and that, that this is like what the role was assigned to me. I wasn't happy. Wasn't happy at all. I was not designed to be a model. I was designed to be a creative person with ideas, with an entrepreneurial spirit and all that fucking jazz. For the duration of the 10 years that I spent modeling, I was fucking miserable as fuck. Driving myself into depression. I've never felt like that again in my life after that. And something major shifted when I gave myself permission to completely let go of that shit and start really acting on my passion. And at the time, my first business, I started out creating fashion, creating clothing for women. And that just transformed my life top to bottom in every department of my life. My confidence skyrocketed, my love life completely transformed. All because I chose the road of authenticity, of being exactly the shape that I was designed to be. And naturally, everything around me reworked itself. Now, of course, I'm simplifying it for the sake of this audio, but a lot of work went into it, both individually speaking on my journey when I started my process, things that I'm sharing now in my coaching, signature coaching program that really definitely worked and that I was experimenting on myself. But also the work that is obvious, that you need to show up and do things with your business and experiment and take chances and not depend on some kind of fucking validation from the outside world. And I feel like that's another really disastrous addiction that a lot of people out there have. Again, some more than others, to the point of, purchasing subscribers, purchasing comments. Did you know that you could do that? Purchasing likes, etc., etc. All for what? To look good for what? How much sense does this make when you're really just supposed to take counsel of one person and one person only, yourself? Do you think that you did a good job? If you do, then fuck everybody, right? Your time will come. Just build your momentum and continue not giving a flying fuck of what everybody else thinks. Quite frankly, I operate this way. If it's good by me, if I'm satisfied with what I put out, because by now I have this connection with my intuition and I know exactly what kind of energy I'm putting into this project, this meeting, even this idea, this audio, this whatever. I know exactly what's going to come back. So it's never a fucking mystery. I always know when I create something that I just, gave a piece of myself to, so to speak, that people will definitely respond to. There's no mystery in that. There's a connection with that intuition. To me, that's all the approval that I need. The confirmation of my intuition, this is of value. If this is of value, I'm very proud to put it out. And my opinion does not then change if I don't get immediate confirmation. You need to be confident in your creations. This is why it's so important to do the work on yourself as an individual, but also to back up your, expertise or whatever it is you're working on or creating by research. You've done your research, you understand what the fuck you're doing, and you believe, most importantly, that you're doing a good job. If you are convinced, the world can go fuck themselves. They will, what I mean by that is that you don't take anybody else's counsel. They're going to bow to your opinion of you. This is metaphysics now. It's obvious. If you're convinced, the world is convinced. So you really don't care so much about. The disastrous situation comes when you really do care so much about what the world thinks, so much so that you change the, the character of your own character, or the character of your content, or whatever. That's people pleasing. That's really just, you're a creator. You're supposed to put forth ideas, not try to people please, not try to fit into a mold. That's boring. That's been done before. People are doing it all the time. That's not the stuff the geniuses are made of. Even if you are temporarily unpopular, you're better off attracting exactly the crowd, the clientele, the people that believe in what you're believing in, and that's rendezvousing on the same frequency as you, rather than doing things that you think that will please somebody, or you think that they will like. Meanwhile, they don't, because automatically the vibration goes out that you're not enjoying it yourself. You see how it goes? If you're not enjoying it yourself, if you really don't believe it, and you think that logically somehow it makes sense that this plus this equals money, forget it. It doesn't go like that. I don't care what you say. I don't care what field you're working in. There has to be this intuition, like, yeah, I really like it. Something speaks to me here. This needs to be shared. And it's like, again, you will have this nudge within you. At least this is how I experience it, and many people. But you may have many people that I've coached. Sorry, let me finish this thought. Sometimes I get overwhelmed when I'm channeling. Many people that I've coached experienced it in the same way, but you may not believe in that right now. So that's, a lot of what I do in coaching, when people don't believe in their ideas. Meanwhile, they're genius ideas, right? So they'd rather pay attention to what somebody else is already doing and measure themselves against that person, rather than boldly declare, you know what, let me just spend a little more time maybe on my ideas and figuring out what exactly I want to say, how exactly I want to say it, or who I really want to be in the world, kind of deal, right? And then present that, because the inspiration that I myself, as a coach, as a person, want to impart is that just be yourself. Be yourself. There's nothing else you've got to do in life. Be yourself. That's it. You're only assigned one role in this life, and that's you. Don't worry about everybody else's. The peanut gallery is not included. So if you're trying to measure yourself against somebody and you're trying to figure out what worked for them, the only thing you need to take away is that what worked for them is that they allowed themselves to really be driven by their intuition, by their desire to be as authentic as possible. Okay, the reason Magic and Miracles took off and really did really well and continues to do well, okay, even though we've had some challenges in the last year, continues to do well in that it resonates with people. Because I don't care what people want to necessarily, what they think that about what I'm going to say. I'm not trying to cookie cut myself. I'm not trying to people please. I'm coming completely from an authentic place that people resonate with because they see themselves in the truth. Truth is a different vibration than some kind of a fucking fabrication, lie, or trying to be like somebody else. That vibration is that of falsity. It doesn't resonate with people. When you truly, one person could be your customer or your listener or your viewer. And if that one person resonates with what you have to say, you've accomplished your mission. This is how I always think of things. So trying to figure out another person's recipe is like a colossal waste of time. Colossal waste of time. People always go around, how did you make your money? How did you start your how did you do? What a waste of time. I mean, yeah, you can learn certain things, certain things that are very general in that sense. But within those parameters, you really need to come up with a narrative. You really need to come up with an idea that speaks to you. Okay, that's the only thing that you need to do, because this is the guidance that you're receiving from the universe. I've said this many times. Sometimes I re-listen to my own audios when I'm channeling, after I'm done channeling. And I'm like, I can't believe that this is me talking, right? So I'm divinely guided in that sense. So a lot of this, you could say I'm not even kind of responsible for in that sense, because I'm simply obedient in that I follow the guidance of the universe. And it takes me on this, yellow brick road to what I really need to do and accomplish towards the things that I want to do. And that's what true genius is to me. Just following the inside yellow brick road that you already have assigned to you by the universe. Before you even were born, you decided on certain things. There's certain things that are destiny. No matter what somebody does, no matter what somebody says, no matter, whatever, jealous people, haters, blah, blah, blah. Like, some people are just destined to do some things, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, nor should you try, because, some people just are destined to do certain things, and there's nothing that you can do about it. You're destined to do something else. Why are you trying to be somebody else? You need to become your own genius and obedient in your own inclinations. But the thing is, you'll save yourself so much time, money, effort, suffering from trying to fit into the mold that isn't even for you. It's not for anybody. It's not for anybody. It's a lot of work, to work for your ego and depend on the approval of outside world and the likes and the subscribers and this and that. That's a lot of energy and work. It takes no fucking energy to be yourself and to be truthful to who you really are. I gotta tell you this right now, because at the end of the day, you really need to enjoy it. If you are to radiate this authenticity, this love, this joy into your product, your service, whatever it is that you're doing right now for the world, you need to be enjoying it. And there is no joy in worrying about what other people are going to say or think, or how it's going to come off, and boo, 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 boo. That's not authentic. That's manipulative. That's really just trying to overthink it, and in the process really tiring yourself out, and perhaps others. So if today you are working on something, or have been working, or were working in the past on something, some idea, that whenever you pick it up, it's just electric. You pick it up and it speaks to you. Fucking go for it. Go for it, but do it in your own way. Check with yourself throughout the process of creating anything. Does this resonate with me? Is this of my own choosing? Or is this borrowed? Or is this me trying to fit into the mold, or trying to be liked? Catastrophic thing to try to be liked. Listen, you gotta really like yourself, okay, is where it starts. I feel like that's fundamentally where we start. You really gotta be a huge fan of yourself in the most benevolent and healthy way, not in a narcissistic way. and believe in you, and thus pour this energy of belief into your ideas. If you like yourself, you're gonna like your ideas and believe in them. Simple like that. But if you have these ideas, understand one thing. I say this all the time. You owe this shit to the world. You owe this shit to yourself. For the very, very simple reason that you probably, if you're not following your passion, your authenticity right now, I can put my money on it, that you're experiencing difficulties in your world, in your life right now. Maybe one thing doesn't work, maybe nothing works, because you're being resistant towards what's truly yours, what is your destiny in that sense, what you really chose this time around in this incarnation to really be doing. And you got to really listen, come to Jesus moment situation and ask yourself, what is it I'm really ought to be doing here? What is the truth of the situation? What is it that I really would like to be? How I would like to do it? Those are all the answers that are contained within you. Nobody's going to give it to you. No fucking YouTube video, no coach, no nothing. It has to come from you. Now that you need a coach to assist you in certain kind of things to arrive at the understanding that you shouldn't want to be anybody else but you, and that you should really shed some old skin in the process where you allow yourself to be receptive to your own ideas, of course, but nobody's going to give it to you. No course in the world is going to give you this authenticity that is already contained within you. But if you need help to act on it, I can help. Definitely can. Thank you very much for listening. All the information from me again is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.